She called 911 and yelled, "He's trespassing on HOA property." As I stood at the old iron gate, holding the deed in my hand, the full wind brushed against the lake behind me, calm and wide. My lake now. But the woman in the purple dress didn't care. Her name was Karen, and she acted like she owned every inch of land her eyes could see. 3 men dressed like officers stood behind her, hands on their belts, pretending to be law enforcement. Their car even had HOA written on the side like it meant something real. "Ma'am," I said slowly, trying not to laugh, "you're standing on federal waterway property. This lake hasn't belonged to your HOA for 20 years. She scoffed, flipping her hair. "Don't talk nonsense. This lake belongs to our community, and you can't just buy it. Who do you think you are?" I looked her straight in the eye. "The new owner." For a second, her face froze. Then, without missing a beat, she turned to her fake cops. "Arrest him. We'll sort it out later." The men stepped forward, unsure, but still trying to look tough. I didn't move. Inside, I was boiling, but I kept calm. They didn't know what kind of mess they were walking into. As they came closer, I raised the orange folder in my hand and said, "Before you touch me, you might want to read this." Karen snatched the folder, flipping through it like she was actually allowed to. Her fake cops peeked over her shoulder until she hit the seal on the last page. A federal waterway code permit issued by the Department of the Interior. Her eyes widened. "What is this?" "That," I said with a faint smile, "is your worst nightmare. You just tried to enforce HOA rules on a federal zone." One of the fake cops shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, maybe we should—" "Quiet," she snapped. "We're still calling 911. I chuckled, pulling out my phone. "Good idea. Let's call them together. I'll let the real authorities handle this." The sound of the wind filled the space between us. The mountain air was cold, and for the first time, Karen looked unsure. She didn't know what she had just stepped into, because the truth was, this wasn't just any property, and I wasn't just some guy who bought an old lake cabin. I had a connection she could never imagine, and soon she was going to regret ever showing up at my gate. As the wail of sirens echoed in the distance, Karen straightened her posture like she had already won. "You're done now," she said smugly. "Real cops are coming, and you'll be in handcuffs for trespassing." I leaned against the gate calmly. "You might want to stop talking before you dig yourself deeper." Her smirk widened. "Oh, please. I've lived here 20 years. I know everyone. The sheriff is a close friend." I didn't respond. I just watched the police cruiser pull up. A real one this time. 2 deputies stepped out, both with that serious no-nonsense look. The fake HOA officers quickly backed off, suddenly finding the ground interesting. Karen rushed forward, waving her hand dramatically. "Officer, arrest that man. He's trying to take our community lake." The older deputy raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, calm down. Who's our?" She pointed at me like she'd found a criminal. "Him? He's building a fence blocking HOA members from using the lake." The deputy turned toward me. "Sir, is that true?" I reached into my jacket slowly and handed him the same folder Karen had thrown earlier. "No, officer. What I'm blocking is illegal access to federal waterway property. This land is under federal management, not HOA control." The younger deputy flipped through the papers and whistled quietly. "He's not kidding, Mum. This is signed by the Department of the Interior, and it's dated last month." Karen blinked, stammering. That can't be right. We've used this lake for years. Our dogs swim here." The deputy sighed. "Doesn't matter, Mum. If it's federal, HOA rules don't apply." I folded my arms, letting the silence do its work. The fake officers started moving toward their vehicle, hoping no one would ask questions. But the younger cop noticed them right away. "Hold up. What department are you guys from?" They froze. One of them mumbled something about neighborhood security, but his fake badge glinted in the sun. plastic. The deputy's tone changed instantly. Those badges are counterfeit. Step away from the vehicle. Karen's face turned white. Wait, no, they're authorized. Authorized by who? I asked quietly. She looked at me, panic creeping into her voice. By the HOA board. The deputy shook his head. Ma'am, impersonating an officer is a felony. You might want to start explaining how your board hired them. Karen looked like she was about to collapse. The fake cops were already being separated by the real ones, and the entire situation flipped in seconds. I took a slow breath, watching the calm water shimmer behind her. This was just the beginning, because what she didn't know was that her HOA had done a lot worse than fake policing around this lake, and I had the evidence to prove it. Karen's confident tone had completely vanished. She kept pacing, whispering into her phone, probably calling her HOA president or whoever gave her fake authority. The real deputies were questioning the imposter cops beside their vehicle, collecting the badges and fake citations they had been carrying. I stayed quiet, letting the scene unfold. I could feel the tension in the air. Her world was starting to crack. Sir, the older deputy said to me after a moment, you mentioned you recently purchased this property. I nodded. Yes, it was listed as abandoned land. The previous owner lost it after a flood incident years ago. I bought it directly through a federal land recovery program. Karen spun around. That's impossible. This lake belongs to our HOA's recreation trust. The deputy held up a hand. Mum, you need to calm down. There's nothing here showing HOA ownership. She glared at me. You think you can just buy our history? We built this place. We've held events here, cleaned this lake, planted those trees. I took a slow step forward. Then maybe you should have checked who owned the water before you built your playground on it. Her lips trembled with anger. You're lying. Our president, Mr. Harland, he has all the documents. He'll sue you for fraud. That name made me smile slightly. Mr. Harland, huh? The same man who's been collecting lake maintenance fees for 10 years on land that wasn't his. Karen blinked. What are you talking about? I took out my phone, pulled up a set of screenshots, and showed her emails, property maps, and the original Waterway codes that clearly stated federal ownership, restricted area, no private management. Her eyes darted between the screen and my face. Where did you get those? I work with the Department of Federal Waterway Restoration, I said simply. This entire property is under my supervision. Every fake fee, every unauthorized use, it's all been logged. The older deputy looked surprised. So, you're saying you're federal staff? I nodded. Consultant level. That's why I didn't react when they tried to arrest me. I wanted to see how far they'd go. Karen's knees almost gave out. This can't be real. We didn't know. The deputy's radio crackled. Dispatch, confirm. Federal Waterway agent verified. ID cross-checked. Karen's face drained of all colour. The HOA officers she'd called for help were now sitting in handcuffs, and her words had turned into broken excuses. I stepped closer, my tone steady but cold. You called 911 to get me arrested for standing on my own property, but now you're the one trespassing on federal land. Her lips quivered. I didn't mean... Save it, I interrupted. You'll need that speech for your lawyer. The younger deputy looked at me and whispered, You want to press charges? I glanced at the calm blue lake behind her. Not yet. I want the HOA president here first. I want everyone involved. Karen's eyes widened. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I would, I said quietly. Because this isn't about a lake anymore. It's about fraud, and I'm done watching people abuse power they never had. And with that, I made the call that would expose everything her little HOA empire had been hiding. The call connected instantly. Agent Lewis, Federal Waterway Division, I said firmly. Activate verification protocol for Lakeshire property. We have impersonation, possible fraud, and illegal HOA activity on a restricted zone. Karen froze when she heard those words. The real deputies exchanged glances. They knew this was escalating beyond a simple property dispute. Within minutes, a black SUV rolled up the dirt road, its government plates shining under the sun. Karen took a step back. Who? Who are they? I folded my arms. The people who handle things when local power games cross federal lines. The SUV doors opened, and two serious-looking agents stepped out, both wearing dark jackets with Federal Waterway enforcement printed on the sleeves. One of them, a tall woman with calm authority, approached me first. "Agent Lewis," she said, nodding. "We received your alert." Karen's mouth fell open. "Wait, he's an agent?" The woman turned toward her. "Yes, ma'am, and you're standing in violation of Title 33, Section 9 of the US Waterway Code, attempting to enforce private law over federal property." Karen stuttered. I didn't know. Our HOA president said—" "That's what they all say," the agent interrupted coldly. "But we've been tracking your HOA's activity for a while. Multiple complaints, forged citations, fake enforcement teams." She looked at the fake officers still sitting near the patrol car. "And now, impersonation of police." Karen's legs trembled. "This is all a misunderstanding." I stepped closer, my voice low. "You sent fake cops to arrest me on my own land. Karen, you didn't ask questions. You just assumed you were in charge. You thought money and control made you untouchable." She shook her head frantically. "No, please. I was told the HOA owned the lake. I didn't mean to break the law." The agent sighed. "You should have verified before bringing armed impersonators onto federal soil. That's not a small mistake." The deputies started taking formal statements while the agents collected evidence from the fake HOA vehicle. One of them found folders labelled violation notices, all signed by Harland. Karen's expression darkened as she realised what was coming. "He told us it was all official. He said he had government approval." I couldn't help but smile faintly. "Guess you'll get to see how official he really is when the feds knock on his door." Her eyes glistened with tears. "Please, you can't let them take me. I didn't do anything." I looked at her one last time. "You didn't do your homework, and you let your arrogance lead innocent people into breaking federal law." As the agents continued their work, one of them turned to me quietly. "We'll need a full report from your end. Headquarters has been waiting for this link." I nodded. "You'll have everything tonight, including Harland's offshore accounts and those lake maintenance payments." Karen gasped. "Offshore? What?" "Yeah," I said calmly. "He wasn't maintaining the lake. He was maintaining his secret life." The agents exchanged satisfied looks. "Good work, Lewis. This might be bigger than we thought." And as they led Karen aside for questioning, the reflection of the sunset hit the calm lake water, bright, silent, and free again. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end, because if Harland had faked HOA power here, there was no telling how many more communities he had under his thumb. Karen sat on the back of the patrol car, her hands shaking as the agents questioned her. The fake officers had already confessed they'd been hired by the HOA board to scare off anyone who threatened their control of the lake. It was over, but I wasn't satisfied yet. When the agents finished taking statements, I asked one of them, "Can we pay a visit to Mr. Harland before sunset?" The tall female agent smirked. "You read my mind." We drove to the HOA office, a sleek building at the edge of the community, full of glass walls and fancy plaques. Harland was inside giving a presentation to a few homeowners about new access fees. The moment he saw us walk in, his fake smile cracked. "Agent Lewis," he said, his tone suddenly stiff. "What a surprise! I wasn't expecting federal involvement in a local matter." I took a step forward, holding up a file. "Local?" You've been collecting over £200,000 in fake maintenance fees for a lake you didn't even own." His jaw tightened. There must be a misunderstanding." The agent beside me placed a hand on the table. "There's no misunderstanding, Mr. Harland. We traced the payments to an offshore account in your name. You've been scamming your own residents." Gasps filled the room. Homeowners stood up, whispering, recording everything on their phones. Harland started sweating. "You can't prove," I interrupted him. "Oh, we can. And guess who's going to testify? Karen." His eyes went wide. "She wouldn't dare." I looked right at him. She already did. The agent handed him a warrant, and within seconds he was surrounded. The same people who once feared his authority were now filming his arrest, cheering as the cuffs clicked shut. Justice wasn't quiet. It was loud, public, and long overdue. As Harland was escorted out, Karen looked at me from across the room, guilt and shame written all over her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I really thought we were protecting the community." I nodded slowly. You can't protect what you don't respect. Later that evening, I stood at the lakeside cabin again. The sun was dipping low, and the water shimmered gold. The fake HOA signs were gone, the gates open, and, for the first time in years, the place felt peaceful. I placed a small federal waterway protected zone marker near the dock and smiled. No one's going to steal this place again. My phone buzzed. A message from the agency read, "Case closed. Excellent work, Agent Lewis." I looked at the calm lake, the mountains beyond it, and thought about what had just happened. Some people think owning land gives them power, but in the end, truth always owns them. I turned off my phone, took a deep breath of mountain air, and whispered to myself, "Freedom isn't something you buy, it's something you protect." Then I locked the gate behind me,